Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, Text 77. Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi rupam diyavastu taya pavarnitam monena bhaktyo pashamena pujita prasiddhatamesha sattvatam pati Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi rupam diyavastu taya upavarnitam monena bhaktyo pashamena pujita prasiddhatamesha sattvatam pati Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi rupam diyavastu tayopavarnitam monena bhaktyo pashamena pujita prasiddhatamesha sattvatam pati Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi Manmapriya vastu tayena manitam Monena bhaktyo posamena pujita Prasiddhatam esha sattvatam pati Nayasya sajatrat bhava padmajadibi Rupam diyavastu tayopavarnitam Manena bhaktyo pashamena pujita Prasiddhatamesha sattvatam pati Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi Rupam diyavastu tapopavarnitam Manena bhaktyo pashamena pujita Prasiddhatamesha sattvatam pati Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi Rupam diyavastu tayopavarnitam Monena bhaktyo pashamena pujita Prasiddhatamesha sattvatam pati Na, not Yashya, of whom? Lord Shri Krishna. Sakshat, directly. Bhava, by Lord Shiva. Padmajadibi, Lord Brahma and others. Rupam, the form. Diya, by meditation. Vastutaya, factually. Upavarnitam, could be explained. Monina, by silence. Bhaktya, by devotional service. Upashamena, by finishing all material activities. Pujita, one who is so worshipped. Prasidatam, may be pleased with us. Esha, this. Saha, the same personality of Godhead. Sattvatam, of the devotees. Pati, who is the maintainer, master and guide. Translation. Present here now is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose true form cannot be understood even by such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. May that same Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of his devotees, and who is worshipped by silence, by devotional service, and by cessation of material activities, be pleased with us. Please repeat. Present here now is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose true form cannot be understood, even by such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. May that same Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of his devotees, and is worshipped by silence, by devotional service, and by cessation of material activities, be pleased with us. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Krishna is not properly understood even by such exalted personalities as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, what to speak of ordinary men. But by his causeless mercy he bestows the benediction of devotion upon devotees, who can thus understand Krishna as he is. Bhakti mam abhijanati yavam yas jasmi tattvataha. No one within this universe can understand Krishna in truth. But if one engages in devotional service, one can understand him perfectly well. This is also confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita 7.1. Maya saktamana partha yogam yunjamatashraya asamshayam samagramam yat gyasi tat churno. Now hear, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Lord Krishna himself teaches how one can understand him perfectly well without a doubt. Not only the Pandavas, but everyone who sincerely accepts the instructions of Krishna can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is. After instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj, Narada Muni prays for the Lord's blessings, that he be pleased with everyone, that everyone become perfect in God consciousness and return home back to Godhead. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritanjana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So present here now is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose true form cannot be understood even by such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. May that same Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of his devotees, and who is worshipped by silence, by devotional service, by cessation of material activities, be pleased with us. So in this section, Narada Muni is glorifying the Pandavas because the Pandavas, although they're engaged in worldly activities like Yudhishthira Maharaj is looking after the kingdom, and they're Kshatriyas, not Brahmanas, they're not sannyasis, they're grihastas, but Narada Muni is glorifying the Pandavas because they are so fortunate that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, who is worshipped by demigods and sages, is actually living with them in their house as a relative. is like one of them. So this intimate relationship between Krishna and the Pandavas is glorified by Narada Muni, because even the great sages and saints, they come to the house, to the palace of Yudhishthira Maharaj to have darshan of Krishna, and that Krishna is staying as a relative in their house and having such intimate dealings with the Pandavas. And even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they can't properly understand Krishna's form and activities. Because in the Bhagavatam we can see how Brahma gets bewildered and Lord Shiva gets bewildered by the activities of Krishna, that they can't understand this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's an example where Lord Brahma, after Krishna killed the Aghasura demon, then Brahma couldn't understand that this little cowherd boy could be the Supreme Lord. He just couldn't. He got so bewildered that he thought, let me test this little boy and see who he is. So he stole Krishna's cowherd boyfriends and the calves, and because 1 year here is like one moment in the spiritual, not in the spiritual, in Brahma Loka. Then, soon as Lord Brahma stole the calves, Krishna had already manifested all the cowherd boys and calves that he had stolen, due to his own yogic power, mystic powers. And so all of them continued to be playing that part for 1 year. And then Brahma realized that I just stole those cows and calves, how can they be still here? And then Krishna displayed his four-handed forms. All the cowherd boys and calves turned into the Vishnu forms. And then Brahma could understand that this actually is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was actually committing an offense by stealing those cowherd boys and calves. So then he surrendered to Krishna and he asked for forgiveness. It's described that he fell down like a golden rod in front of Krishna, with his four heads on helmets touching Krishna's feet. And Krishna accepted all those prayers, and Brahma asked if he could take, birth again, and this time not as Lord Brahma, but in a more humbler form, so he wouldn't commit these offences. And actually, Lord Brahma became Haridas Thakur in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. So that's an instance where Lord Brahma couldn't understand Krishna's personality. And then Lord Shiva also, sometimes he gets bewildered by Krishna's power as well. And there's a story in the Bhagavatam about the Banasura demon and how he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. And Banasura actually had 1,000 arms, and he always wanted to look for a suitable opponent, to fight with. And then there was one time when Krishna's grandson Aniruddha started to associate with Banasura's daughter Usha, and Banasura wasn't happy with this, so he captured Aniruddha and imprisoned him. And then Krishna and the Yadavas all came to fight Banasura, and in this way, and Lord Shiva actually, because he was like supporting Banasura, he went on Banasura's side, and so there was a big battle between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, he had a weapon called the Shiva Jwara, and Krishna used the Vishnu Jwara, and the Krishna's weapon defeated Shiva's weapon, so Lord Shiva could accept Lord Krishna as the supreme. And so in these instances we can see how even the demigods get bewildered by Krishna's potency and power, and they can't understand him because Krishna looks like a young cowherd boy. He doesn't look like very powerful. He's got a very delicate body. We've just seen the description of Krishna in the Nectar of Devotion, how he's so beautifully ornamented with flowers and garlands. So it's very difficult for them to understand this form of Krishna. And not only do the demigods find it difficult to understand Krishna, but they are amazed how the human beings on the planet Earth are so fortunate that they can actually engage in devotional service to Krishna. And I was reading the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, and there's a part in it where the demigods are praising this human form of life. I'll just read some part, because in the purport of this Chaitanya Bhagavatam is quoting Bhagavatam Canto 5, Chapter 19, text 21 to 25. But it's so nice to hear this, because even the demigods are so like in awe of the human beings on this planet. So this it says here, their human form of life, which is desired even by the demigods, is being wasted in the pursuit of false happiness. So this is just part of why some human beings are wasting their life, even when they have got a human form of life. And it says, the first line of this verse indicates that not only the human birth is favourable for worshipping Lord Hari, therefore it is desired even by the demigods. The demigods' prayers in the Bhagavatam 5:19, 21 to 25 in this regard are as follows. So this is the demigods' prayers. It says, since the human form of life is the sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in heaven speak in this way. How wonderful it is for these human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatvarsha. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human birth in Bharatvarsha to execute devotional service, but these human beings are already engaged there. So the demigods are just like so amazed at the fortune, and they're wondering how are these human beings, in this planet, have such fortune, such mercy, that they can actually engage in devotional service to the Lord, whereas the demigods are not. They're aspiring to achieve that. They're not even doing that. They're actually aspiring to achieve that. And then the next part they say is that after performing the very difficult tasks of executing Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, undergoing austerities, observing vows, and giving charity, we have achieved this position as inhabitants of the heavenly planets. But what is the value of this achievement? Here we are certainly very engaged in material sense gratification, and therefore we can hardly remember the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. Indeed, because of our excessive sense gratification, we have almost forgotten his lotus feet. So the demigods, they've got so much opulence, so much sense enjoyment in the heavenly planets, that it's difficult for them to actually remember Krishna, because they're surrounded by so much sense gratification, so much sense enjoyment. And so they actually forget Krishna. They only remember him when a demon appears, really. Then they start calling out for Krishna. They go to Lord Vishnu for help. But actually, most of the time they forget Krishna. They don't even remember him. So, and then they say that in a short life in the land of Bharatvarsha, is preferable to a life achieved in Brahma Loka for millions and billions of years, because even if one is elevated to Brahma Loka, he must return to repeated birth and death. Although life in Bharatvarsha in a lower planetary system is very short, one who lives there can elevate himself to full Krishna consciousness and achieve the highest perfection, even in this short life, by fully surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus one attains Vaikuntha Loka, where there is neither anxiety nor repeated birth in a material body. So the demigods are saying that actually a short life on earth is much more better than a life in Brahma Loka, which is millions and billions of years, because even if you go there, they have to come back anyway to repeated birth and death. But in Bharatvarsha, in this planet, in the lower planetary system, in a very short time, we can actually elevate ourselves so quickly in Krishna consciousness and attain perfection by surrendering unto Krishna. Because and then we can go back to Godhead. So actually the demigods are actually thinking it's better to actually take birth on this earth than be born in the heavenly planets. And because here, we can actually get the mercy of pure devotees. Because in the demigods and the heavenly planets, they're all not pure devotees. They're actually sakama bhaktas. They actually have material desires to fulfill. So it's very rare for them to get the association of pure devotees, and very rare for them to get the dust of pure devotees. And even Krishna comes to earth and he establishes his dhams here on earth, not in the heavenly planets. We have Vrindavan, we have Mayapur, we have so many dhams in India. So Actually, that's actually more beneficial for us than the heavenly planets, because it's non-different from the spiritual world. We actually have this on this planet. Then it said, then the demigod said, an intelligent person does not take interest in a place even in the topmost planetary system if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there, if there are not devotees engaged in service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yajna is recommended in this age. So they're saying that intelligent person, he doesn't take interest in a place where there's no topics of the Supreme Lord being discussed. There's no Sankirtan Yajna being performed. That's not an intelligent person is not interested in such a place. So an intelligent person would not be interested so much in the heavenly planets, because there's so much sense enjoyment that's very difficult to hear about discussions of Krishna. And Bharatvarsha offers the proper land and circumstances in which to execute devotional service, which can free one from the results of jnana and karma. If one obtains a human body in the land of Bharatvarsha with clear sensory organs with which to execute the Sankirtan Yajna, but in spite of this opportunity he does not take to devotional service, he certainly like liberated forest animals and birds that are careless and are therefore again bound by a hunter. So, because this, if we actually go to the proper places in this planet Earth and we execute devotional service, we actually meet pure devotees, then we can actually get free from jnana and karma, and we can actually take part in the Sankirtan Yajna and take to devotional service. But if we miss this opportunity and don't take it up, then we're like forest animals that are careless and then again bound by a hunter. So we'll again get trapped by the material energy again and take birth again in the cycle of birth and death. So the demigods are praying to actually take birth on this planet so that they can also engage in devotional service and meet pure devotees and actually become liberated. So it's not an ordinary thing to be part of the Krishna consciousness movement and engage in devotional services. It's actually very rare and unique, even for the demigods to do that. And therefore they also want to take part. And this is our fortune that we have the opportunity and have accepted that mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And if we don't take this up and if we miss this opportunity then and reject it, then we're actually very unfortunate. And it's the greatest misfortune. So Narada Muni prays for the blessings for everyone, not just for himself. He's not envious, a pure devotee like Narada Muni. He's always looking for the welfare of everyone, and he's saying that he prays for everyone, that everyone becomes perfect in Krishna consciousness and returns home back to Godhead. So this is the way we can make progress very easily, by the blessings of pure devotees like Narada Muni, or his representatives like the spiritual masters, like Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Then we can actually make our life perfect, even in this short life we have, which is like not even 100 years most of the time. We can actually perfect our life and go back to the spiritual world and become free from even what the demigods are not free of. They still have to take birth again, So in this regard then, the most intelligent persons are the ones who take to this process of Krishna consciousness. Like that verse, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna Sango Pangasa Parshadam Yagye Sankirtan Praye Yantihi Samedasa. So intelligent persons, they take to the Sankirtan Yajna by chanting the holy names of the Lord, by following the incarnation who chants the holy names of the Lord. That's Lord Chaitanya, who's not blackish in complexion, and who's in this way. And Lord Chaitanya he's followed by his associates. His associates, his confidential followers, his associates, the holy name, the Sankirtan Yajna is all part of Lord Chaitanya's entourage. So this is actually what we're in this wonderful Krishna consciousness movement, so that we can actually take part in Lord Chaitanya's festival, Sankirtan Yajna, and perfect our life. There's nothing greater than that. And this is the most intelligent thing to do in this age. And so devotees can purify the heart. There's a nice part where Prabhupada says here in the verse, he says, he is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. So this is the criteria that, this is the condition that actually to realize Krishna, we have to have unflinching surrender, to actually be able to surrender completely to Krishna and take part in whatever he wants us to do, be a puppet in his hand. So by that surrender, by that unflinching surrender, we purify our hearts. In the Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, Shiva Maharaj says that devotees purify their hearts by practicing surrendered, saturated devotion. So what does this surrender mean? What does it look like? Can anyone tell me what surrender looks like? Following intensely, unflinchingly, without deviation. Yes, surrender, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes surrender as four categories of surrender. There's, we accept what's favorable for our Krishna consciousness, we reject what's unfavorable. We accept Krishna as our maintainer, our protector. We the humility and self-surrender. These are the 6 ideal qualities of surrender. So that's what we're trying to practice. Shishikodandai Mai Prashishiki Jai. So devotees purify their hearts by practicing surrender-saturated devotion. So unless our hearts become purified, then we're not going to be able to get to the higher stages of bhakti. So this surrender-saturated devotion is necessary to purify our hearts. And the pure faith is the self-sufficient prerequisite for pure devotion. So unless there's pure faith, we will not get pure devotion. And pure faith appears in devotees as symptoms of surrender. So that's pure faith. The symptoms are that we're surrendering. And the symptoms of surrender are visible in a devotee's character by their constant endeavour to serve Krishna without a trace of fruitive intent. So this is what it looks like. This is how we can see what symptoms of surrender are. That a devotee is constantly endeavouring to serve Krishna without a trace of fruitive intent, without any desire for anything else but to please Krishna. So this direct path to pure faith is important. If we take the direct path to pure faith, then it requires that we chant the holy name without offence, and at once we can receive pure faith from Krishna, which is the qualification for pure devotion. So it's really counting on how we are chanting our japa. If we're chanting with offences, it's very difficult to make progress. But if we're chanting without offence, and then we can easily acquire this pure faith, and which leads to pure devotion. And the first class devotional service is known by one's tendency to fully be engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favourably. So that very important verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, can anyone quote that verse? No, from Nectar Devotion, Rupa Goswami. No. That verse that's describing pure devotional service. That's it. Yeah, so Anya Bilasita Shunyam, that we don't have any other desires for karma and jnana, or for any other yogic mystic powers or liberation. And Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam, so we serve Krishna favourably as Krishna desires. And that's actually pure devotional service. So we fully engage in Krishna consciousness, serving Lord favourably as Krishna likes. So the three primary characteristics of pure devotion is its full engagement, Krishna Anushilanam, is performed with intent favourable to Krishna, Anukulena, and it has Krishna as its sole beneficiary. It's basically Krishna is the beneficiary of it. It's not like we're trying to get something from it. We're just doing it to please Krishna. So this is first class devotional service, and this is what we are aspiring to achieve ultimately. So maybe we're not on that stage yet. So we have to practice. The whole point of sadhana bhakti is to practice. It's a practice to control the senses, to engage the senses in Krishna's service. So when we practice this, it's like a child learning to walk. So the innate tendency to walk is already there in the heart of the child. So it just needs to start practicing to walk, and ultimately, eventually, it will start walking. It's just not every one of us has done this as a child. We've all practiced walking, so we eventually walk. And we see children how they try to stand up and start walking. They keep falling down, so they keep doing that. Not that they start thinking, getting negative. Oh, I can't walk because I keep falling down. No, they keep practicing. So in the same way, we practice sadhana bhakti. We may go up and down quite a lot, but that's part of the practice. We have to keep practicing till we achieve perfection. So sadhana bhakti is there so that we can come to the point of bhava bhakti. So this is the goal of sadhana bhakti, isn't it? That we attain bhava bhakti. So then we can go further on, but the whole point of sadhana bhakti is so that we can practice engaging all our senses in Krishna's service by chanting and hearing, by engaging our body, our words, our mind in Krishna's service. And in this way, by following this path, then we will achieve bhava bhakti ultimately. So it's our desire and the amount of endeavour that we put into it, then we get Krishna's mercy. So if we have intent, desire and determination, and we really want to do this, really want to surrender to Krishna, then we will get Krishna's mercy. We will get Krishna prema, which is the ultimate goal of our life. But we have to make the endeavour. We can't just expect everything to be laid on a plate for us. We already have so much already given to us in the form of Srila Prabhupada's books, in the form of his instructions, in the form of so many things that Prabhupada has given us, deity worship and book distribution. All these things are there to purify our hearts, so that we can actually develop our relationship, our eternal relationship with Krishna. And by chanting the holy names, by practicing these five potent devotional service, is to live in a holy place like Mathura, Vrindavan, or a temple. It's to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to chant the holy name of Krishna, to associate with devotees, and to serve the devotees. So if we have all these five potent forms of devotional service, then we're really in a good situation, we're in a good place to practice devotional service. So this has actually been given to us very kindly by Srila Prabhupada, a very systematic, scientific way of developing our Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if it was left to us, we wouldn't have worked that out. You know, if Prabhupada hadn't given us this morning program, we would probably have not worked it out, that this is actually how we do it, you know. So, but Prabhupada very kindly knew we needed a system. We needed a proper system to follow. So, and we can see the result is, it's amazing, you know. Just by performing these simple activities, we can actually advance so quickly in devotional service. So it's up to us to actually take it up and practice it to the best of our ability, and not become lax and not become lackadaisical or complacent, because we need to constantly endeavour. It's not just like we endeavour a little bit and then we can relax. But Krishna says, constant endeavour, which is very difficult. Constantly, constantly devoted and worship me with love, Krishna says. Then I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So uninterrupted, unmotivated, constant devotion. And it's not easy. It's not easy, but this is actually what we have to practice. And then we will ultimately reach the supreme goal. So, has anyone got any questions? About 10 minutes. Okay, Venus Spirit. Bhava Bhakti is when we're in Shuddha Sattva, we're free from the modes of material nature. We're not under the modes anymore. So no mode of ignorance or passion or goodness, we're above that, pure goodness. And it's like affection for Krishna develops, spontaneous affection. Raganuga, Bhava's like Raganuga Bhakti, on the stage of Raganuga Bhakti. We were not like trying to force ourselves to do things, It's just, we've got so much greed for Krishna that we want to do it. It's not like we're forcing ourselves to get up in the morning and chant the holy names. It's just spontaneous. We just want to chant all the time, want to serve Krishna all the time. We're not influenced by the modes. And it's actually like a ray of prema. So it's described that prema is like the sun, and bhava is like a ray of sunshine. Just a ray. It's not even full prema. And even that ray of sunshine or ray of prema is so great, That's what it's described as. Prema is like complete, like absorption in Krishna, like full pure love. But bhava is like preliminary prema, preliminary stage of prema, where we're just getting a ray of that prema. But even that is so elevated, so advanced. And it's ecstatic symptoms. You have bhava, the symptoms of bhava, shedding of tears, repulsion, trembling, ecstatic symptoms manifest at the stage of bhava. Is that okay? So you're on the level of bhava now. What were you going to say? I thought you had your hand up. Well, it's not mechanical, isn't it? It's not like it's Krishna's mercy. So we can't just think, well, I chant like this today, and tomorrow if I chant like this, I'm going to get the same result. Krishna may not come in the form of the Holy. He may not appear like Narada Muni. He appeared to Narada Muni once, and he says, to increase his desire for the Lord, he says, I will not appear again in this lifetime. Just to increase the humility of Narada Muni and his desire, increase his desire to see the Lord. So sometimes Krishna does that to increase our desire, to increase our greed for him, and to make us humble. Otherwise we'll think we're the doers, that I chant like this and then Krishna will appear, in the form of the holy name. So Krishna doesn't do that. Just do. Is that okay? Yes, you have another question. Yeah, because like like Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti. Before we get to the higher stages, we have to go through this process of Anartha Nivriti, which is getting rid of all the unwanted things in the heart. So before we get to the point of Nishta, we have to get free of these unwanted desires in the heart, or sometimes they're actually wanted desires in the heart, and for us. But until we get to the stage of Nishta and be in steady in devotional service, we'll be just going up and down all the time, because it's anishta, it's unsteady devotional service, because, we have like things that we want to do, it's pulling us back, we want to do other things, or we have other desires, and we can't fully surrender to Krishna, fully devote ourselves. So we may try to physically do it, but our mind may be thinking of other things, So it's just a practice. It's just a practice of sadhana bhakti will get us free from those anarthas. So we really need to have to work hard. See, this is the stage where we really have to work, to make a lot of effort, because those things, unwanted things, keep pushing us down. And it's like we also, because of those things in the heart, like pride, envy, all these things, and lust, then we commit offenses. So we commit offenses and we go down, and then we start becoming humble, we start practicing again, we realize we've made mistakes, and then we go up, and then we make another mistake, another offense, and we come down again. It's like up and down, because our pride comes up, our envy comes up, our lust comes up, and then we can't control ourselves, and we just commit offenses, and we just go back down again. This is the stage of anartha nivriti, I'm saying it from my own realization. This is what it's like, up and down, up and down. And so eventually we will come to the stage of Nishta. We have to continue on with the process. We can't give up. We can't just think, well, it's too difficult and I want to do all these other things, and just let's give up devotional service and do all these other things. It's not a very good idea. You've got the process of devotional service. Even if we have other desires, Krishna will help us. He will fulfill our desires in such a way that we won't want them again. Krishna's kind. He's not like begrudging us. Like, okay, we may have a desire, we want to get married, we might want to have children, whatever it is, but Krishna will arrange it in such a way that we won't want to do it again. He'll burn out that desire in us, and we see that. So Krishna makes the perfect arrangement. And if Krishna is very merciful to us, as Prabhupada says, he takes everything away from us, so we're only left with him. Now that is real mercy, That's like, then we haven't got all these encumbrances and attachments and distractions. He just takes it all away and says, okay, just focus on me now, But that's an acquired taste. Not everyone feels that they're capable of taking that, But even Prabhupada said that in his own life. He says his business fell apart, his family members were not favourable towards him, and he was kind of losing everything. Then he just took sannyas, and dedicated his life to Krishna. I mean, he's already dedicating his life to Krishna for many, many years throughout his life, but ultimately, it was like his business fell apart, his pharmaceutical business fell apart, and his family members all kind of were not so much favourable towards him because of he was not giving them any financial support and things like this. Ultimately, and Prabhupada says that was Krishna's mercy. It was actually because Krishna just took it all away. So sometimes we get mercy like that. And sometimes we get mercy, Krishna gives us everything, like Sudama Brahman, he was poverty stricken, but Krishna gave him all that opulence and gave him everything because he knew he wouldn't get deviated by it, because he was so strong in his Krishna consciousness, he wouldn't get distracted by it. So it's depending on different personalities. Like Yudhisthira Maharaj, Krishna wanted him to become the king. I mean, you can't get more opulent than a king, right, with everything. But Krishna wanted him to become the king, and Yudhisthira Maharaj accepted it because Krishna wanted him to become king. So he accepted all that opulence for Krishna to help the citizens, all the citizens go back to Godhead as well. So it depends what Krishna wants us to do. It's not everyone's in the same category. Some devotees renounce everything, like Goswamis, and some devotees, can live in that opulence and be Krishna conscious and set another different example. It's not that one's less than the other. It just depends what Krishna wants us to do. So it's all depending on what's wanted by Krishna. Is that okay? I don't know if I answered your question, but okay. Thank you. I think I'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shikodan Tai Mai Prashuchi ki jai, Gaur Premananda.